Hello everyone and welcome to Edusurg Clinics. I am Dr. Gunjan Desai and we continue our series on gastrointestinal stromal tumor. This is part 2 of this short series. We'll see the clinical presentation of this, the diagnosis, the various tests that are involved in diagnosis, imaging, endoscopy, endoscopic ultrasound, the role of biopsy and immunohistochemistry, NGS, that is mutational analysis. And then we will see the classification for surgery, especially for gastric gist, the principles of surgery, and the medical therapy and sequencing we will see in the next part. So clinical presentation, it is most common in middle-aged elderly with slight male preponderance, and sporadic is far more common than familial with germline mutation of c-KIT. If there is familial, the patients can have multiple cysts and they can have cutaneous hyperpigmentation. Usually they are silent or they can present with upper GI bleed. Non-specific symptoms can be dyspepsia, pain, fatigue, and nausea. Patients can have chronic anemia. If they are very large, then they can present with palpable mass, pressure symptoms, and pain. Diagnosis relies on 4 important parameters: imaging, that is CT, PET scan, MRI. We will see what all can be done. Endoscopy and endoscopic ultrasound, immunohistochemistry on biopsy, and genetic testing. So these 4 headings are very important when you are writing about GIST or managing a GIST patient. So endoscopy and endoscopic ultrasound with FNAB or core needle biopsy is excellent for small GIST less than 2 centimeter. And if in these patients there are high-risk features, that is irregular borders, cystic spaces, ulceration, echogenic foci, and heterogeneity, then these patients can't be observed. Otherwise, gastric gist less than 2 centimeter can be observed. So that is the importance of these high-risk features. Similarly, on HPE, the spindle cell tumor is most common, accounts for 70% of GIST. 20 to 25% are epithelial type and the remaining are mixed spindle and epithelial. Again, for small gastric GIST, the high-risk features are high mitosis and tumor necrosis, and these patients can go for observation. CT and MRI is based on the organ that you are assessing. Usually for rectal gist, we do MRI. For liver gist, if there are multiple metastases, MRI will give you a good picture. For all other cases, from gastric to colon, CT works very well. So that is what we usually use. PET CT is used only for metastatic or upfront inoperable gist, where we are going to start medical therapy, and these patients need PET scan as well as mutational analysis. So in biopsy, immunohistochemistry is very important because the diagnostic markers of GIST are these immunohistochemical markers. So as per NCCN 2023, these are the basic markers that need to be done: CD117, CD34, SDHB, and discovered on GIST1 or DOG1. It is a transmembrane protein, and DOG1 has higher sensitivity and specificity than c-KIT for diagnosing GIST. When we talk of genetic analysis as a diagnostic tool, it is not routinely required at diagnosis, but in cases where you have atypical morphology on imaging or endoscopy or biopsy, or where you have diagnostic dilemma, or cases where there is metastasis, or where neoadjuvant or adjuvant biological therapy will be required, these are the patients who should undergo mutational analysis. The usual sequence is to first do c-KIT and PDGFRA. If they are negative, it is wild type GIST. Then you do SDHB, SDH germline mutation analysis and look for BRAF, NF1, NTRK, and FGFR fusions. We have seen all these genes in the previous video. So if you have not seen that, please see that video. This sequence of analysis is very important, and each of these has different treatment, okay, which we will see in the next part of medical management. But that is why this sequence of analysis is very important to understand. Okay, so imaging, endoscopy, endoscopic ultrasound, biopsy with IHC. We saw the immunohistochemical markers as per the NCCN 2023, and the genetic analysis, the indications, and the sequence. So when we come to treatment, surgery is the treatment of choice where feasible. Only patients with gastric gist less than 2 centimeter with no high risk US and no high risk biopsy features can be taken for observation. This is as per NCCN 2023. For all other patients, surgery is the treatment of choice. R0 as well as R1 are acceptable outcomes and resurgery is not required. However, a tumor rupture should be avoided and tumor should be removed with intact pseudocapsule. Multivisceral resections, extended organ resections like total gastrectomy or APR are not first-line surgeries, as these are surgeries with significant morbidity, and these patients should be offered neoadjuvant medical therapy. Debulking like surgeries are not recommended in GIST. We have a lot of medical options available. So where you can't achieve R0 or R1, then surgery is not the treatment of choice. So for gastric gist, we have this Privet et al. Classification. Type 1 is fundus and greater curvature. Type 2 is prepylorus and antrum. And type 3 is lesser curvature near GE junction. So these are the types of gastric gist. And this is an important classification given by Privet et al. In surgery, laparoscopic resection is reasonably safe and feasible, and gastric gist 5 centimeter or smaller can be removed through laparoscopic wedge resection. However, if you have more than 5 centimeter tumor, you may need an assisted technique or an open technique if the adequate skills are not available. The Privet et al. Classification is actually useful for laparoscopic gastric gist resection planning, and you should use a plastic bag to minimize the risk for port site recurrence. So in this topic, we have seen the diagnosis surgery part of the gist. In the next topic, we will see the medical therapy, where we will apply the concepts of genetic analysis and mutational analysis, as well as the indications for neoadjuvant adjuvant therapy, and we will see how to sequence these treatments. Thank you.